Super Bowl interview with Brett Baer, President Trump accused other countries of taking advantage of the U.S. So here he is talking about the additional tariffs he's set to unveil today.
We'll also be announcing steel tariffs on Monday. Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum, too.
10%?
10, no, 25%.
25 for aluminum?
25 for both.
Canada and Mexico are among the largest sources of steel imports for the United States. Canada's innovation minister is now promising to stand up for Canada, its workers, and industries. Economic experts have raised concerns that tariffs could raise prices for Americans, but the president says he does not think that will be the case. Meantime, a federal judge in Massachusetts is set to hear arguments this afternoon regarding the Trump administration's buyout of federal workers. The February 6th deadline was paused last week, giving workers more time to mull the offer to leave their jobs with pay until September 30th. The president and Elon Musk's efforts to cut wasteful spending, minimizing what they see as a bloated government, has riled Democrats, but the president is defending Musk.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse.
The president is also set to announce reciprocal tariffs Tuesday or Wednesday.
It's the wild, wild west. Americana, forming a new nation. Without all the bullshit, don't you wanna? Don't you wanna? Don't you wanna?
Having more fun on the internet than you should be legally allowed to have. Welcome to the golden era. It's Benny, and this is the Benny Show. You are living in the greatest sacred timeline. Today is Monday, February 10th, 2025. We are full of pep and have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder this morning as we are whistling Dixie after Taylor Swift cried salty, salty tears last night in the Super Bowl. We're going to cover all of the important cultural consequences of being woke and how people have utterly destroyed themselves over the current thing. And it was a bad idea. Taylor Swift, ladies and gentlemen, down bad, crashing out live, also crashing out. FEMA has been caught illegally funneling $60 million to criminal aliens in New York for luxury hotels by Elon Musk. Pam Bondi saying that people are going to go to prison for this. It's the F-around time and the find-out time. It was the F-aroundest of times and the find-outingest of times. We are currently living in that timeline. It's very, very exciting. We'll be joined by Sean Davis and Ryan Mata on the show. It's going to be an exciting one, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much to cover. We hope you're not too hungover from the Super Bowl. We've got a golden era hangover is what we got. I got 4 kids, 4 and under, so I just don't drink. Trust me, drinking's a bad idea. So we're good, crisp and fit as a fiddle. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Whoo, baby! We saw the difference between 2 administrations last night, and we're just getting going, but there's still a bit of a hangover from the Biden regime. You may be in debt. If you are in debt, call my friends at American Financing. American Financing can solve your kitchen table problems, making sure that you're not paying insane interest rates every single month. American Financing today can get you out of debt, tapping into your home's equity. They're saving their average customers $800 a month. Save this kind of money today. These decisions can be really, really easy. Find out how much you can save. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. NMLS 182334. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Okay. So I want to set all this up by laying out the table here. And I don't know if my producers can go hunt me down that clip of Taylor Swift. I'm not sure if we can play it. There's a clip of Taylor Swift, having a psychotic breakdown in 2016. If there's someone who can find it, it's our great producer, Danny, who's so good at this. There's something about weaponized autism, man. Weaponized autism running so it's a gift and a curse. Where if I say Taylor Swift crying on a couch in 2016 about endorsing political candidates, seeing the full TDS break out all over her, right? Like a horrible infection of hives. I bet my team can find it. All right, it's 10 years ago, and maybe we'll find it. We'll see. It was 10 years ago when Taylor Swift had an on-camera meltdown in some type of documentary. She's sitting on a couch and she's like, "I just can't let Donald Trump, Orange Man bad." You know, this time Taylor Swift was like still considered a country music star, right? She's living in Nashville. Presumably, she's like raised on a farm, you know, very humble roots. It was actually big time Toby Keith, who loves this country, our patriots. May he rest in peace. He went to be the Lord last year after a fight with cancer. But Toby Keith was like this absolute rock star. Big time lover of the troops, constantly giving back to first responders and our service members. Toby Keith was the one who started Taylor Swift's entire career. She'd be nothing without him. Taylor Swift has yet to say anything nice about Toby Keith, by the way. It's like shocking and repulsive human being. But the point is that for some inexplicable reason, Taylor Swift decided to do the dumbest thing you can possibly do. And the Trump curse is real. And this is something that has been proven demonstrably and empirically on the show time and time again. We have too many examples to really show. I mean, it'd take the entire next 7 hours. I would show you every empirical proof that the Trump curse can come for you, whether you're a member of the government, whether you're an entertainer, a celebrity, Hollywood actor, a musician, a journalist. Man, you can get it too. And now it's time for Taylor Swift to take a very heavy dose of medicine. It's called the culture war, ladies and gentlemen. It is a war. Taylor Swift, in a moment of abject stupidity, decided that she was going to fight Trump. Decided that was going to be her thing. She was going to ditch a very smart strategy of just making ungodly amounts of money, and she was going to get political. Taylor Swift was going to start fighting Orange Man. Taylor Swift decided then to become the thorn in Trump's paw, endorsing all of the political enemies of Donald Trump to catastrophic, in catastrophic results. She, like every person that Taylor Swift endorses, they lose in landslides. She decided to spend capital she didn't have on fighting the culture wars, isolating half of her fans to fight Orange Man. And she decided, instead of being an iconoclast pop star who little girls look up to, right? Okay, got it. Team's got the clip and they're testing it right now. All right, here we go. They're so good. So good. Instead of becoming something that, I don't know, maybe could be looked up to by little girls, she became, that could have been debatable, right, in Taylor Swift's early career. She became a childless cat lady professionally with full-blown Trump derangement syndrome. She made that her thing, which is an insane thing to be. It's like a miserable life for anyone, right? If you're living on the Upper East Side and you're just like some miserable woman, 20 failed relationships, always the first comment, right, on our Facebook, like living with her cats. Like, this is not somebody you want to be. For some reason, Taylor Swift, who could have chose to be anything, decided to be that lady. It's a bad idea. But blow after blow after blow, Taylor Swift dealt President Trump in the culture wars for some inexplicable reason. I think we actually have the footage. Do we got it? Okay. We actually have the footage of the moment that Taylor Swift decided to have a mental breakdown and became fully Trump deranged. Here we go.
Just from a security standpoint, Taylor Swift comes out against Trump.
I don't care if they write that. I'm sad that I didn't 2 years ago, but I can't change that. I'm saying right now that this is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history. And if he doesn't win, then at least I tried.
Taylor, here.
It makes you sad, actually. Because you realize how psyoped these poor people actually are, how broken they are, and how they're not really anything other than vessels for much more evil and malevolent people to pour their politics, their toxicity through. And they use people like Taylor Swift, who's clearly just like humming along at a room temperature IQ. And they take her and they take these artists and they manipulate them and they use them in order to defend their gobs of money they're getting from USAID and all the other corruption. They use them as tools. They're useful idiots, which is what you see in this clip. Taylor Swift then got completely and totally psyoped into thinking that it's going to be her who wins this historic moment, and she can't allow Trump to continue. She has to be on the right side of history. Whew. Never. Be very careful when people say that, by the way. History is a very cruel mistress and a tough person to hear a retelling of the story from. Very hard to predict how history is going to tell your story. You better be able to intellectually defend yourself. You better be able to be unimpeachable in your values. Yet Taylor Swift is somebody who, while she moans and bitches, making her redundant music that is totally derivative about picking bad men, endorses Joe Biden, making bad picks, endorses Kamala Harris. And to what end, ladies and gentlemen? To what end? She has a fleet of private jets. She travels around in a motorcade bigger than Trump's, gas guzzling, diesel burning. Taylor Swift in a New York second produces more carbon, pumps more carbon into our atmosphere than you will in your entire life or me. And she's going to sit there and lecture you. She has like a fleet of jets. She doesn't have to have one jet. She has a fleet of them. She's a billionaire. And she's going to sit there and lecture you about the state of the economy, about how bad you are and nasty you are for voting for Orange Man. And she, by the way, what's very unique about this moment, and I couldn't believe it when I actually saw it. This is like an example of a Taylor Swift motorcade. Can you put up that image? Look at the motorcade. Taylor Swift has as many cars in her motorcade as Donald Trump does. Goodness gracious. Look at this. Most in new surveys say Taylor Swift's endorsement has no impact on their vote. You know, the point of celebrity is power. And you should be able to tell people what to do, and then they go do it. You move the needle, right? You're powerful, so you can force people into doing the things you want them to do. And that's the purpose of making fake couples and relationships like Jay-Z and Beyonce, making these little Hollywood power couples. They put them together inside of these laboratories, and they create these powerful vectors that every 4 years just get trotted out to get elections for Democrats, right? That's been the system. And that system's now utterly and totally shattered and broken, and Trump is the one who wielded the hammer there. Check this out. They bury the lead here, as we say in the business. The buried lead is that actually Taylor Swift created an environment where more people decided to vote for Trump instead of Kamala, given her endorsement. She endorsed President Trump as a childless cat lady. Remember, she's holding her little cat, right? She's telling everyone, I'm a childless cat lady. This is why we feel bad for you. This isn't something to emulate. This is how sad you are. This is how broken you are. At some point, you end up feeling actually just sorry for these people. Taylor Swift's endorsement has no difference. The vast majority of people say there's no difference. But this is where it gets very interesting, these tertiary layers of the data. Less likely to support Kamala Harris, 13%. More likely to support Harris, 6%. So by an order of 2-1, Taylor Swift caused more people to vote for Trump than Kamala with her endorsement. And here's the famous, embarrassing endorsement. Like, I'm a cat lady. Like, my life is filled with failed relationships and bad decisions and selfish narcissism and nihilism. And I'm 40. And I'm still living like I'm 14. And I can't grow up. And I'm a billionaire with a B. And I'm sitting here trying to tell you to shut up and vote for these people that are arsonists to your society and civilization. And I've literally lost them votes. It's not just votes. Taylor Swift lost millions and millions of listeners Why would you ever do this? It's so stupid. And you're gonna lose. Taylor Swift lost fans. Listen to this.
I want to be a childish cat lady. Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala Harris, and I'm done. I don't want to be a childish cat lady like her. If you really love the cats, you wouldn't let the migrants eat them as pets. That's why I'm replacing all my stuff with end the wokeness stuff.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Swift getting trolled at her own concerts, in fact. This was a Taylor Swift concert in Miami where Taylor Swift got a massive banner flown over her concert while she was live on stage. Trump 2024, ready for it, cat lady, MAGA. Oh, yeah. See, just when you think that Taylor Swift couldn't possibly lose more, well, we're just getting started. Taylor Swift, of course, probably hurt Kamala Harris, according to all available data. Kamala Harris lost in a landslide. Donald Trump did historic numbers with women. This was supposed to be Taylor Swift's demographic. Of course, men were turned off. This is how men see a Taylor Swift relationship going. No man on earth wants this to be their reality. This is, of course, naturally Travis Kelce's reality after the Super Bowl. And it's why we were really excited when President Trump, days before the election, posted this: I hate Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is somebody who, please don't come for me in the comments here, okay? I'm just telling it like it is, all right? Taylor Swift is somebody who the left put up as a challenge to President Trump's cultural power. And there was a time when you could really make that argument. Wow, yikes, don't come after the Swifties. Don't come after Taylor Swift. That's stupid. We got to actually make sure that Taylor Swift's on our side. Nope. Actually, now it's time to crush our enemies. Now is the conquest era. Talk about the Eras tour. Can you grab me the New York Post cover, please, from today? Great cover. End of an Eras. Yeah. President Trump trolled Taylor Swift mercilessly, ended up atomizing her career, trolled her with his own merch, right? Trump actually had merch that, like, was the exact same design as Taylor Swift's Eras tour. Klein, just check the chat. It's all over. It was all over. The producers will grab it in just a second. And why would you do this? Look at this. Here you go. She's now a joke. She's now a joke. Somebody needs to win and somebody needs to lose every war. Last night was the day that Taylor Swift and the institutional left that creates these little celebrities and these little celebrity relationships in laboratories, they're not real. They're all contractual. They're created by PR agencies, and they're created to cement cultural power for institutional leftists, right? Last night was the gig being up and the absolute and total surrender of Taylor Swift to Donald Trump in the culture wars. Let's begin with establishing that you will not beat President Trump when it comes to shows of patriotism and love for this country. When President Trump was popped on screen, the crowds went into a deafening roar. Here's one video of that from the feed itself. Sorry, ALX, do we have the actual footage that we've been playing, please, of the clip itself from the feed? Go ahead and grab that. This is from our friend Forgiato Blow, which is also great. He's in the stands. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you saw it yourself, President Trump receiving absolute deafening roars from the audience last night. Boys, it's in the production. I played it like 50 times. Also changing the dynamics of the cultural conversation by establishing that America is officially back. Here's the ad for the Secret Service that played. There it is. Okay. Thank you. Okay, good. You'll understand why we must do this, because I have to show you the difference between what it sounds like when somebody introduces President Trump. Audio up, please, for this. Deafening roars versus Taylor Swift. This is what it looks like to lose the culture war. And this is important for a reason. Here we go. You can see here Taylor Swift saying to her friends, "What's going on?" You can actually read her lips. She doesn't. This might be the first time in her life that she's facing the harsh reality that nobody wants you there. Nobody cares anymore. It's all fake. Your support is fake. Your relationship is fake. Your care about sports or the NFL is all fake. Memes have been made of you that have crisscrossed. Very good. That have crisscrossed the internet. And while you are getting booed, President Trump is on the field greeting the first responders. When was the last time you saw Taylor Swift greet first responders? Would these people even want to meet with Taylor Swift? No. These are first responders to the terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans just a few weeks ago. This is what cultural power actually looks like. Being able to flex with the majority against what has always been the minority, but what we've been psyoped. We've been psyoped and told that Taylor Swift is popular when she's not. We've been told that these big media outlets have audiences when they don't. They're just using USAID money to prop themselves up. We've been told that the institutional left is ascendant. And it's actually our culture that's being thrown into the ash heap of history when it's the exact opposite. They've all been frauds. They have no real audience. They have no real support. Not culturally and not politically. It's all been propped up by fraud. It's all fake. It's a Truman Show. And this is the moment that the Truman Show comes crashing down, where Truman rams into the wall with his ship. This moment right here. When Taylor Swift goes, "Wait, everybody hates me? Wait, they're not buying it anymore?" President Trump dominated last night. Players were breaking their practices to come running over and shake Trump's hand, literally begging like little schoolboys to come shake Donald Trump's hand. President Trump, with the salute, showed America what they were desperate for. An actual leader in this nation. And a real president. To stand up for, really, it's all we've got. It's not perfect, but it's all we've got. It's our country, our national pride. Somebody who actually shows a little respect. Instead of abject disrespect, nihilism, and narcissism. Donald Trump taking the field to roars from the crowd and love. And then President Trump, there is definitely, it's always in the eyes. And President Trump wasn't done yet, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump posted the two clips that I just showed you on Truth Social. Trump gets massive cheers at Super Bowl while Taylor Swift gets booed. The world is healing. Then Donald Trump on a rampage this morning. The only one that had a tougher night than Kansas City Chiefs was Taylor Swift. She got booed out of the stadium. MAGA is very unforgiving. There's only one way out of this, Taylor. You know it. There's only one way out. Got to hold this one up. Next Chiefs game. If there is a next Chiefs game for Taylor Swift, because I think the gig is up now. Right? Like, the goal was supposed to be the Chiefs win in a rigged game, and then Taylor Swift gets proposed to on the field, right? And then they cement the contract that rockets both her and her Pfizer boyfriend into, Jay-Z, Beyonce level, like untouchable Hollywood celebrity status. And it all came collapsing down. And these kind of things are really, really important because this is how they maintain permanent power. They desperately try and control culture through celebrity, through low information individuals, and through fraud. And that all got shattered yesterday. Donald Trump won the culture war against Taylor Swift. Donald Trump is the official victor, and Taylor Swift is the official loser of the culture war. And that is a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of the culture war, there were also some very fascinating advertisements yesterday. You could feel the vibe shift. The energy shift was palpable. And you can see here, this is the look of a man who's going to have to go home and listen to the new song being written about him. By the way, speaking of somebody who clearly is not well, this is not how you should dress if you're going to go play in a Super Bowl. This is how you dress to go sell Hunter Biden crack or coke. Something's wrong. And everyone pray, ladies and gentlemen, for Travis Kelce definitely getting a song, the angriest, screechiest song ever written about him right now. We like on this program writing a song of patriotism and love of this country, and it was inexplicable yesterday. Talk about bending the knee. Hollywood celebrities, arguably some of the people that Taylor Swift wants to be, bending the knee to Trump culturally. Now, in just a year ago, but certainly over the past 10 years, before the Super Bowl, you were likely to get some type of like screechy, preachy, woke, embarrassing Lady Gaga monologue of virtue signaling about how racist you were for watching the football game and how mean it is to how horrible it is to just be an American, how bad you are, and how you should feel terrible about yourself. The NFL engaged in a vibe shift unlike anything I've ever seen with this introduction to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not sure if President Trump demanded it, but I know that President Trump set the table for it. This is a different country we're living in, and it's a different country than we've been living in over the last 30 years. The vibe shift is real. This is how they opened the Super Bowl yesterday.
How did we rise? The only way, together. Isn't that union at the core of this day? And this glorious, chaotic, exasperating experiment that is us. As we convene with our circles today, as we witness a piece of our culture play out, we honor the ways these players compete so their teams might prevail. Today, we celebrate the urgency of now, the thrill of what's next, the glory of this game. And we do it as one. It's time, America, to huddle up. It's time for the Super Bowl.
The league that required all of their players to kneel for the national anthem and painted giant woke cult-like emblems in their end zones. Is this the same league? Is this the same world we're living in? It's like we've woken up from a horrible fever and everything was just this nightmare. And now we're back to reality. President Trump breaking the internet last night with this ad doing nearly 30 million views, a recruitment advertisement for the Secret Service featuring his own assassination attempt in Butler. Man, talk about a resetting of the cultural table here. And most importantly, this is how you get young men to sign up to protect the president. Nobody needs to hear about how the Secret Service is going to respect your pronouns. What the agents you want in the Secret Service need to hear is that they're going to be effing alpha Chad badasses and be respected and be featured throughout all time as men of honor. Check this out.
America was founded on an idea of freedom. America's always stepped forward in time of need throughout our short but powerful history.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Tear down this wall.
We've been there for all of it.
A second plane hit the tower.
Our heroes are humble. They have an inner pride to keep this idea alive. Protectors are born, they're not made. America's Secret Service protecting this Super Bowl is asking a few more to step forward.
What a world. What a world. It's neck snapping, the change in culture. And there's something remarkable that's happening right now that I don't think anybody was preparing for, which is offense. Now, obviously, we're big fans of the president here, but you saw still in the first term quite a bit of defense. And in my lifetime, which has been over the past 37 years in this country, you've seen the cultural right play nothing but defense and lose. It is actually offense that wins wars. President Trump winning the war against Taylor Swift. Here's the post that Elon Musk made on it. Taylor Swift mercilessly booed. Trump got a hero's welcome. Total cultural shift. The vibe shift is real, from Elon Musk. The reason why it's important to have an offensive game, and congratulations to any Eagles fans out there. I say often that I'm not a big NFL fan. Maybe if they get rid of all of the wokeness and virtue signaling, then I'll consider it, right? There is an NFL team that plays 10 minutes from the studio here. I'm not against it, but I am against giving my money to people that hate me. The vibe shift is real. People want to love their country. They want to join the army to fight bad guys, and the cops to fight bad guys, the Secret Service to protect the president because they love this country. You cannot win if you're constantly playing defense. And for the first time in my life, the cultural right is playing offense and forcing the left on defense. And that's why you see clips of Taylor Swift saying, what is happening? What is this? What is happening? I've never in my life, I've always thought I've been on the right side of history here. I thought I was, my entire life I've assumed that I was the virtuous, I was the virtuous one. Everybody else is a Nazi, right? It's only me who's reached this zenith of being a human where I'm so perfect. I'm so virtuous. And I'm so smart. And I'm so enlightened. And everybody else is a Nazi. And this is what Taylor Swift bought into. And it's a cautionary tale because it's destroyed her career. And then when she sits there in a stadium and has everybody boo her, the mask falls. The Truman boat slams into the side of the studio. And she realizes she's been used. And Trump's won. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what winning looks like. Going on offense. You cannot win without an offense. The Eagles had a great offense last night and a very good defense as well. The Eagles were able to stunt on the Chiefs by 20 points. Again, congratulations. If you're an Eagles fan, we have members of our team who live in Philadelphia. The amazing Ashley is one. Not even sure if she's online right now. Maybe she gets the day off. I don't think she was climbing a light pole last night. I hear that they greased them all down. But good luck, Ashley. We hope you were safe. The point is that you can't win without putting the other team on their heels. You can't win without going into and storming the ramparts of your enemy, desecrating their idols. Taylor Swift's an idol, a cultural pagan idol for these people. They worship her. They worship Kamala. Desecrate their idols, burn their cities. Not literally, that's what the left does. But in a metaphorical way, you must humiliate and demoralize them. Take from them that which is precious. And then wipe it from the earth. This is actually how you create cultural dominance. Now, we saw this happen on Friday after the show, hours after the show. They went through to the USAID building and actually chiseled off the face of the building, the letters of USAID. This is a cultural act. This is an act of war and victory. Remarkable footage. This is taking from your enemy their idols, storming their ramparts, like removing from their places of worship holy idol. Like, here it is. This is the front of USAID. I'm sure the production team can grab me the actual video of them chiseling it off. It's incredible. President Trump yesterday on his way to the Super Bowl declaring the Gulf of America is the Gulf of America. He did this while over the Gulf of America. And now the official maps, the National American Geological Association, who's in charge of naming things, have changed the nomenclature to Gulf of America. Here it is. Officially renamed by the Department of the Interior, the Gulf of America. Here it is on the government website. You can just do things. So God forbid, but like, what are libs like 20 years from now, when the Democrat Party is able to figure out its teen girl existential melodramatic crisis that it's going through right now? What are they going to do? Change it back to the Gulf of Mexico? They're going to go to the American people with that? These are cultural victories, and it was so easy. Men and women's sports. This was so easy. Donald Trump signing the bill with all these little girls around him, all these young female athletes around him. The left gave him that victory. You made it so easy. You put yourself out there so much. Taylor Swift made herself so hateable. You could just shadow box your way through. You just absolute lightning speed. You can conquer. And they become so lazy and slovenly and unable to defend. They've lost their will to fight. So this is President Trump taking the culture war to the left yesterday over the Gulf of America, announcing, I have just renamed it from Air Force One as they are flying over the Gulf of America to New Orleans. Here we go.
And we're flying right over it right now. So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well. That's a good... Make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go. So this is a famous pen now.
This doesn't get enough credit. It's not just trolling. It's desecrating this pagan cult's sacred items. Here's the footage of USAID getting ripped from the history books. getting covered up entirely. They even covered up the little logo emblazoned there. This is culture war. And this is winning the culture war. The team was able to actually, producers were able to actually grab, sorry boys, I missed this. We're able to grab the shirt that Donald Trump did, where it's the Eras Tour poster. He did this as a direct troll to Taylor Swift. People said this is suicidal. You need to appeal to Taylor Swift. You need to beg Taylor Swift for her power. You need to be scared of her. You need to pray that she'll forgive you, Donald. Trump went straight into the heart of darkness, ran right through the walls, straight into the center of the city, and attacked at the center of their pagan church, their iconography, and stole it and took it. And they're left with no more will to fight. End of an heiress. It's so much deeper than just trolling. And it's an incredible thing to live through right now. It's really powerful, and it's going to have a real world effect because the left has no capacity to stage a defense. As we covered on Friday, they're sending these like C and D level, like 70 to 60 IQ congressmen, can't breathe unaided, need a helmet to go to work, short bus members of Congress to try and like get into the Department of Education. That's it? That's all you have? You have no power, huh? And now they're having to like go to these like abject Marxist judges, you knew this was coming, to try and get rulings to say, oh, the Treasury Secretary can't be the Treasury Secretary. Or you can't deport criminal aliens. Tough luck, pal. They're not even American citizens. You're a judge in America. These aren't American citizens. They're here illegally. Yeah, we can. I'm the commander-in-chief. They're doing everything they can to stop Elon Musk at Doge. And we have a massive breaking story this morning about exactly why. Here's President Trump in his pre-Super Bowl interview talking about Elon and defending his work at Doge. I don't think that President Trump is going to be backing down anytime soon, not on this roll. This is the value of cultural power. Here we go.
Early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, Doge, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone into the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there.
And you found significant things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous, and you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. But I campaigned on this, Brett.
Breaking this morning, right after that clip aired, is Elon Musk coming forward with one of the largest illegal bombshells, illegal on multiple fronts, that FEMA, the organization who's responsible for helping you out when a hurricane or a tornado or a wildfire rips through your neighborhood and destroys everything that you've helped, everything that you've built, no fault of your own, some horrible mudslide wipes your entire city in western North Carolina off a mountainside based on a massive hurricane. And FEMA, who was able to find $700 for Americans who had their lives destroyed. Some Americans literally living in tents and shanties and lean-tos, freezing cold in western North Carolina. That same FEMA was able to defy President Trump this morning and funnel $60 million to criminal aliens to stay in luxury hotels in downtown Manhattan. They did this under President Trump's watch. It's wholly illegal. Elon Musk is saying here the Doge team just discovered that FEMA spent $60 million last week. Luxury hotels and illegals in New York City. You don't hate your government enough. Sending the money violated the law and is a gross insubordination to the president. Money is meant for American disaster relief and is instead being spent on hotels for illegals. You'll be reminded, of course, that FEMA is the same organization that went door to door in my neighborhood and looked for people who had Trump signs in their yards and refused to help them after the hurricane. These individuals lost everything, and they were going and basing whether they were going to help their fellow Americans on their political beliefs. Again, who's gone to jail for this? We very much look forward to this being a civil rights violation brought by Harmeet Dillon, the great Harmeet Dillon, who will be heading up the civil rights at the Department of Justice and hopefully putting in prison the people who decided to discriminate based on political beliefs. President Trump is often called to get rid of FEMA. Karine Jean-Pierre has lied about it. This has been a massive fraud on the American public. How much money has actually gone to criminal aliens? A reminder of their lies here. Who's going to be charged for this? Here we go.
So, disaster relief, this is a falsehood. Disaster relief funds used on immigrants illegally in the U.S. The fact is, no money is being diverted from response needs. That's the fact.
Okay, so dressed as Oswald Cobblepot there, Karine Jean-Pierre decides to once again lie to the American people. We have the literal receipts now. And I think it's going to get so much worse. And this is why we spend so much time on this program talking about the culture wars. Because it is a literal war. And the left has never felt the sting of loss in the last 30 years. Republicans have been a fake party. It's not real. We don't put up any fight. We don't win any battles. We are the Washington Generals to their Harlem Globetrotters. And suddenly, we decided to punch back and realize that our enemies have a glass jaw, and also that they've been cheating the entire time. So it is a exciting time, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me in just a moment is going to be the publisher of The Federalist, Sean Davis, who's just very excellent on this topic and has lived in Washington, D.C. for a very long time and has some very salty reports about federal employees to give to us directly from The Federalist. But speaking of what we drink on this program, one is salty tears, two is blackout coffee. It is my blackout coffee that keeps us going. We were recording videos well into 1 a.m. last night. Just a lot to talk about, right? After the Super Bowl, big cultural event. That's why we care about these things. This is how we win. I do need my coffee this morning. It has been a late one. And also, we have a newborn and also a 1-year-old, and they're having trouble sleeping right now. So pretty much up every hour. So what do we mean by that? That's my story. Don't feel bad for me. I freaking love it. It is the time of life. But it is whatever you need to get yourself through the day from an energy perspective can be found in blackout coffee. Every single cup of blackout coffee brewed here in America, created here in America by a family company that loves this nation, loves our first responders, loves our military, and loves free speech. No grift. They actually do, in fact, stand up for American values. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny for 20% off your first order. Taste the coffee that doesn't just wake you up, it fires you up. blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Get the energy to fight the communist. And it turns out we didn't actually need that much. It's amazing. I'm very much looking forward to speaking with my next guest here, Sean Davis of The Federalist, to talk about the value of conservatives winning for the first time ever battles in the culture war. Let's go. Pardon my language, Sean, but conservatives are such pussies. And Republicans have been such pussies over my lifetime and yours. These battles that President Trump is winning, it seems almost effortless. His battles against men and women's sports, or defeating Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl, or renaming the Gulf of America, or any number of these victories. These were all, we could have won all of these. We could have ripped down USAID, and we just chose, our leaders chose not to. Worse yet, our leaders chose to side with the left and be scared of them. It's a remarkable moment we're living through, man.
It is. It turns out winning is really just a choice. And as soon as we had a leader in the party who wanted to win, we started winning.
Yeah.
And it's, it's funny, having been, I've worked in politics and the conservative movement for like 25 years now. And it can be so disheartening looking back and realize, you know what? Everything he's doing now could have been done 25 years ago, could have been done 20 years ago or 5 years ago. And the reason it didn't happen is because Republicans in charge were so feckless. They were so captured by the uniparty. They just didn't want it to happen. And it's why initially they fought Trump so hard. It wasn't because of these fake reasons that they gave, like, oh, he's mean or we don't like the tweets. No, he actually had an agenda that he cared about that they didn't have an interest in. And so I just got to say, I feel like we've been wandering in the wilderness for a long time, waiting for a leader to actually deliver. And it's just wild to finally be in a moment where it's happening.
Bro, they gave it to him. The image, maybe we have it. If we don't, let's grab it. The image of President Trump signing that executive order with all those little girls around him, leaning in as he says, no, men shouldn't be in your locker rooms. You gave that to Trump. You literally handed it to him on a platter, and there's been zero. They have nothing. There's been no fight. There's been nothing. He carves USAID off the face of the building. That, probably was my favorite moment of the presidency so far. We're only 2 weeks in. But literally desecrating their temples and smashing their idols in front of them. This has true cultural warlike powers. This is a strategy, right?
Well, my favorite part of that getting men out of women's sports photo op was having a president who wasn't sniffing all the little girls. That was just like a nice change to see there. He behaved appropriately in front of them, actually cared about them. But you're right. Look, it's important to go and smash bales and cut down idols and let the left know that their sacred artifacts and their idols, they're all coming down. And the more they cry about it, the funnier it gets. And the more personally that I'm like totally into doing it. Like, bully them until they cry and then bully them for crying. That's the ethos now on the right. There's no more apologizing. You did this to yourselves and you're just going to take it. And that's how it works now.
Just very quickly before we get into a post that you put up on X that's going viral right now about libs crying. I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl last night, but it did seem like abject and total conquest and cultural dominance. Even Brad Pitt sitting there talking about how great America's founding is. What is happening? Trump's getting cheered deafeningly and Taylor Swift's getting booed from the rafters. It's the Truman Show finally collapsing all around. They're realizing how fake their power was and their cultural relevance. It was like I was hallucinating. It's amazing. It's like we'd been living in this fever dream of a nightmare for the last couple of years, and now the country's reset itself, and it was just shocking to see last night. It was neck snapping.
Yes, something happened on election night, and everyone I talk to in politics and out says the same thing. It's like the nation collectively had the scales come off its eyes on election night. For me, the moment where I realized that something bigger than politics was happening was that UFC fight immediately after, where John Jones went, he finishes his opponent, does the Trump dance, points at Trump. Like, you had all the NFL guys doing it. That was unthinkable a year or 5 or 8 years ago. And yet suddenly now all the cool kid energy, like all the Doge kids, the kids who would have been made fun of for being like engineering dorks, like all the energy in politics now is on the right, and we're ascendant. And it turns out that winning is its own reward. It's its own sense of momentum, and we can all feel it.
So you're talking about smashing bales, smashing idols, exerting cultural dominance. Everybody in the federal government works for President Trump, and you made a very sharp barb this morning. Here we go. Tens of thousands of angry libs crying salty tears as they drive into work for the first time in 4 years. Their seething rage at having to go work for Donald Trump is making me laugh so hard. It's a banger, Sean. This is the first day. My producers pulled a CNN article. This is the first day that they've all had to go back to work. It's got to be a parking lot in Washington, D.C. I doubt these people even remember how to drive. Most of them probably live like in Jamaica, right? Like they don't probably even work anymore in the DMV. This has got to be a real crisis.
If that image of like the pink-hatted, blue-haired, childless cat lady just seething in traffic, getting stuck on the 14th Street Bridge while listening to NPR, if that doesn't make you laugh, like, I'm sorry, we will never be friends, because just thinking about it is so freaking funny to me. The impotent rage, the screaming, like how many TikToks are being filmed inside like Priuses stuck on the bridge over the Potomac in DC right now. Like, if that doesn't fill your heart with joy, I don't know what's wrong with you, because I think it's hilarious.
Traffic parking concerns grow as thousands of federal employees are forced to return to work. How many are going to quit just because they have to actually work, Sean?
Hopefully all of them.
It's something that I think is particularly vile about Washington, D.C. is how many of these individuals decide to live a lie where they are productive members of society, where they're actually zero value members of society that exist totally subsidiary on fraud and grifting on the American taxpayer. And you know this as well as I do. What ends up happening is you have two choices. You can either choose that, recognize that your job has no power and your life really has no meaning, or you can go the route of believing that you're better than the American taxpayer and living in a delusion that's propped up entirely by DC, which is the real Truman Show, is Washington, D.C. I mean, the real like fake world, you can tell walking around. It's like Pyongyang. Like the buildings would almost fall over if you like pushed them. None of it's actually, all of it's propped up. All of it's fake. Fugazi. Those people, they end up actually, these federal workers end up creating this calcification where, and it's hard to describe if you haven't lived there, where they actually believe they're better than the American taxpayer, and that what they're doing has more value, and they sneer and they look down condescendingly and narcissistically on the people that are that actually make the country work. And it's a real cancer in that city. And I know you've experienced it. Maybe you could speak to it, because that's kind of at the heart of darkness here. Right?
Oh,
like
yeah, it's so true. Like, something is wrong with that city spiritually. It's not just a political thing, but you're so right. You'll have people who will go and they'll get their degree in like government studies or poli-sci, and then they'll go to work funded by money they never earned. It was confiscated from people who actually go out and make things. And they will sneer and scorn and look down at people who, I don't know, work with their hands and make things for a living and like deliver the food that we all eat and deliver the energy that we all use. Somehow the people who actually do things, the actual makers in this economy, they are sneered at and looked down upon by people in DC who can only exist because they are, through the magic of government, able to steal a living for themselves by confiscating the hardworking the money of the hardworking people around the country. I think it's disgusting. Look, I don't think working in government does itself make you evil. You know, some of them do good things. I'm sure some of them are good people, but this haughtiness and this arrogance that comes from some of the dumbest, laziest, and most mediocre people on earth. Like, this is why their misery to me is so funny, because they are awful. They are awful people who would gladly put you or me or everyone who listens to us up against the wall, like they tried to do, by the way, during COVID with all their firings over the COVID vax. So the fact that they're miserable, it doesn't like give me pause. It just tells me we need to keep our foot on the accelerator.
This is like a story I can't shake out of my head, man, where we had a neighbor in D.C. I won't name her, but she was a fundraiser at the RNC. And she moved into our neighborhood, and we were nice. We brought her, a bottle of champagne, flowers, welcome to the neighborhood. And in the course of the conversation, she explained what she does for a living. She worked for the Republican Party, and they laughed and laughed and laughed about how they perpetually lie and tell everyone that they're Democrats because they don't want the pushback in Washington, D.C. They don't want to be sneered at. They want to be like invited to things, and they don't want somebody to be mean to them at a bar, right, or be angry at them. These are the people that were working inside the RNC, like for us, that were taking like huge, fat 7-figure and 8-figure checks from donors, and they were ashamed of what they were doing. And it'd be nice. It's nice to have that fever break. It's nice to be the cool kids, and it's nice to have a lot of those people I think have been sent out of the party and into the wilderness, and they'll never work for the Republican Party again. It's just so great to finally have a feeling of victory inside of the party, like that we've actually won something, and that we can be on the offense.
Yeah, the Republicans who go and live and work in D.C. and then pretend they're not Republicans, they're like the American rich kids who go backpacking in Europe, but they throw the Canadian flag on their backpack so the like filthy Europeans wouldn't look down on them. It's so embarrassing. Like, come on. So yeah, we need to get those people out. And the thing is, I understand that a lot of people who work in government, who work in politics, they have different opinions, and that's fine. It's what makes America awesome. But if you go to work every day and you get a paycheck from the hard work and confiscated earnings of other people, yes, the only feeling you should have every day is gratitude. You should thank God every day that you were able to go in and with very little risk taken by you, get paid in a way that comfortably provides for your family. And they don't do that. They look down at us and they make fun of us and they call us stupid and uneducated. And the reality is we're actually smarter and probably better educated and even better credentialed according to their own institutions than most of them. But they just can't handle it. They just can't handle it. And so they just need to be squashed. And we need to keep the foot on the pedal until the whole thing is stamped out. And we actually have a country again that at least kind of reflects what the founders intended when they created it.
I have something exciting to report to you, Sean, here in conclusion, which is that Big Balls at Doge, who's 22 years old, has a higher security clearance than Joe Biden does right now, which is really exciting for me and really special to see. I doubt we'll ever see Joe Biden again, but it's just something that made me go to bed and sleep like a baby last night. It makes me so happy, right? You go to bed with that just warm feeling. Actually, I do have a couple. I didn't sleep. I have a newborn and a 1-year-old, and so we don't actually sleep in our household. But still, it gave me warm, cozy feeling. So what's going to become of these people? You see the judges. I mean, in conclusion here, they're desperate. They're trying. They tried to stage an insurrection. Maxine Waters screaming at the Department of Education. It didn't work. They have no power. They're there to be completely abused and disabused. Judges are now running through and trying to rule against the administration. The Treasury Department doesn't have the power to do this kind of stuff. Elon Musk, Is any of that going to work, Sean?
I don't think so in the long term. The reality is that the Democrat Party anymore is a party of annoying theater kids. So their default is just doing annoying theater kid stuff and emoting all over the place and demanding attention. And when they have power, like they did for the last several years, that stuff just wears differently. But when they're totally powerless, it's just kind of sad and funny. So these dumb little resistance judges they're going to try some idiot in New York or Oregon or Massachusetts. They're going to try and shut down Trump. What they're eventually going to do, I think, is they're going to end up eroding their own ability to do this. We're going to have these TROs shut down, these nationwide injunctions shut down. But the thing is, when your only ethos is you want power and you want to do stupid theater kid stuff, man, they're going to have a long road back to power acting that way.
There is no viable road right now. I really don't see it. And with the illegal the public will is not on their side any longer. 60 million to criminal aliens on Friday, dude, from FEMA, which is such a massive insult. And I mean, I know that Tennessee, you live in Tennessee. Tennessee was hit pretty hard. So was Florida. It's just the final insult. I mean, this is really, you're going to reach, I think, a point where the people who did this, it is unfeasible for them to ever win a national election, I think. the more that this gets uncovered.
No, they need to pay. They have to pay politically. Honestly, a bunch of them should be in prison. So we should probably make that happen too, because they're paying money for illegals to like hang out at the Ritz while Americans were drowning and living in tents in the freezing cold in the mountains with no running water and no power for months at a time. It's literally criminal.
Yeah, and the way that you stop bad behavior, especially as a parent, you know this, is consequences. There has to be consequences, and the other kids see the consequences, and then they get in line. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the first set of those. Sean, your publication, The Federalist, is just a must-read every single day. I know that you cover all of this right now. Top line media should investigate federal waste instead of the people uncovering it. And it does seem just wild to see the crumbling of the protection apparatus. But the screeching and the rage of the left that we've cut off their slush funds is so great, and I think you're going to see the Federalists flourish. God bless you guys, because you actually built a viable news outlet in spite of taking no USAID money, I don't think.
Well, it was actually even worse than that. While the State Department was trying to censor us and shut us down and blacklist us from getting advertising money, they were out funding all of our enemies. So it's right. Kafkaesque and Orwellian at the same time.
Yeah, I look forward to your reparations. You can give a reparation to Sean by following him on X. 550,000 subs. Get in there. Sean on his way to 1 million. And it's just such a bright individual. His feed will give you joy every single morning. Sean, Godspeed, man.
Thank you so much, Benny. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's this clip from CNN talking about how popular President Trump is right now. You got to see it. I'm just check with my producers, see if we got it. But you got to see it. You got to see it. You got to see like it's one thing to talk about the battles. It's a totally different thing to talk about the result of those battles. Yeah, that's it. CNN this morning, gasping on air. There's a dude, you probably know him. His name's Harry Enton. He's the guy that we like on CNN because he's this data guy who just gives hard truths based on rock solid data to the libs. And this morning he was on a tear about how popular President Trump is. You're going to love it. Here we go.
You know, I think one of the things that's so important for politicians is for folks to believe what they're saying and that they're keeping their campaign promises. So I think this gives you a pretty gosh darn good idea of what may be going on. Trump's doing what he promised to do. You go back to April of 2017, it was just 46% of all Americans who said that Trump was doing what he promised to do. Compare that now to February of 2025. You know, there was a good show that was on during the 1990s called A Different World. That is what's going on right now. We're living in a different world. 70% of Americans say Trump is doing what he promised to do. Again, compare that to April of 2017 when it's just 46%. When Americans are 24 points more likely to say that you're doing what you promised to do, it's no wonder that your net approval rating is much more likely to be on the positive side of the ledger than on the negative side. And so far, what we're seeing, again, is Americans, 21 days so far versus just 11 days during his entire first term, that Trump has a positive net approval rating. Quite a different world.
Quite a different world. President Trump is doing what he said he was going to do, and this is what we voted for. 70% of Americans believe President Trump is following through on his campaign promises. The polls are absolutely wild. Check this out. New CBS poll. Overwhelming majority of Americans describe President Trump as tough, energetic, focused, and effective. You want to know why Trump gets deafening roars at the Super Bowl and Taylor Swift gets booed? Trump and campaign promises. What is he doing? He promised what he was doing. He promised during the campaign to do these things, and now he's doing them, and that's why we voted for him. He's literally doing it. It's bewildering. Here we go. One more piece of data that I think fascinating. 59% of Americans approve of Trump's deportation of illegal aliens. That's a functional majority. That's 60%. Probably goes up to 80% when you actually take out polling biases, right? And you let people speak their minds. 64% support sending U.S. troops to secure the border. We've won. We've won culturally. It's a moment that you've never seen. It's a moment that I've never seen before in my lifetime, where we are winning, not just like winning, like the Supreme Court was able to stop Biden from doing something. That's all we've had in our entire life, like for the landscape of conservative victories. That's all we've had. Now we can actually go on offense. My next guest is somebody who does go on offense. It's a documentary filmmaker named Ryan Mata, and the reason why we booked him is because we played a clip of his documentary exposing what USAID was doing with small migrant children and how USAID may well be the cover for one of the largest human trafficking organs ever to be seen on Earth. The short stinger from the documentary is bone-chilling. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a clip for you right here of it. And then Ryan Mata will be joining the program live. Let's check this out.
It was USAID that I fear much more than the CIA, because the USAID is how CIA gets shit done.
USAID is clearly in the job of trying to bring about regime change. It has secret bank accounts, shell companies.
USAID gets $50 billion a year in U.S. taxpayer money. That's a larger overt fund than the CIA has.
USAID perhaps is the new CIA.
Have we ever tried to meddle in other countries' elections?
Oh, probably.
This is not just about over there. This is about here.
They have a process, a system by which they destroy other nations, and they use that same process and system in order to destroy the United States.
It's a plot against our own people.
America, what if I told you that the United States government was acting like the world's Gestapo, using organizations like USAID under the pretense of humanitarian aid to topple governments, install politicians, and orchestrate regime changes in third world countries?
I disagree with that as somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat. Yeah. Not here, but, other places.
These are places that are practically entirely run at this point by the CIA and the U.S. State Department, which is, of course, a CIA front.
USAID provides most of the money.
This isn't a giveaway.
The State Department provides the policy vision.
This makes a difference to people's perception of us. Tricky endeavors, whether it's fighting terrorism,
Al-Shabaab groups in USAID camps,
or narcotics.
Joe Biden's State Department is commanding the Taliban to keep the opium flowing.
Or oppression or resistance to governance.
Those USAID trucks were stopped at the border to Venezuela with fully automatic weapons.
All of those things.
I don't think that's humanitarian aid.
What a difference that makes.
And if we stand for democracy anywhere, we have to stand for it everywhere, including in Guatemala.
Guatemala, what if I told you that USAID, the State Department, and the CIA created a fraudulent political party and then used that illegitimate party to rig the 2023 Guatemalan election so they could install a list of CIA-controlled politicians who would continue to allow them to run the world's largest child trafficking network out of Guatemala?
Nothing to do with that. Correlation, not causation. That is absurd.
They didn't deny it, which means that they admitted it.
This is no question, a political shocker in Guatemala.
The U.S. government, the Biden administration, helped cover up voter fraud.
Why Guatemala? Why not some other country?
Guatemala is concerned about child trafficking, the NGOs that are trafficking the children.
Jill Biden was the chairman of the board of Save the Children.
You guys just raided Save the Children.
Guess who stepped in? The State Department, U.S. Embassy, and USAID. Another coincidence?
America. What if I told you that DHS, under the direct orders of Alejandro Mayorkas, would create a public-private partnership with Mexican cartels, and that HHS, under the direct orders of Xavier Becerra, would create a public-private partnership with NGOs like Save the Children and Southwest Key Programs. And in this quasi-public-private partnership, they would use your tax dollars to fund the world's largest international child trafficking operation.
As to whom we know where they are, that is outside the responsibility of the Department of Homeland Security.
This is nothing but lies. Nothing but lies.
Secretary Mayorkas, he acts like none of this ever happens.
It's his policies that caused over 500,000 of children being smuggled in this country.
And he also knew who to blame. HHS places those children.
That's on you.
Was that a question to me?
Are you familiar with the sponsors that utilize a strip club as an address? You shrug your shoulders and then send another batch of kids out to sponsor.
Human trafficking bust at an egg farm. Federal prosecutors call it modern-day slavery.
Of course, we investigate cases of trafficking.
Another lie.
now the man who produced that incredible stinger and a multiple-hour documentary highlighting potentially the single darkest underbelly of the USAID operation. Ryan Mata is a documentary filmmaker. It's an honor to have you on the program, Ryan.
Benny, honored to be here, my friend. You had the best Super Bowl coverage last night, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
We had a lot of fun. And it's something that obviously is a war that we fight. It is a cultural war. And there's a reason why we fight it on the cultural level is because if you lose, well, you may be living inside of possibly the largest child smuggling, human smuggling regime in world history. Do you believe that that's what happened under the Biden administration?
Oh, without a doubt, Benny. I mean, there was 452,121 unaccompanied alien children that arrived at our border. Those are children ages 0 to 17 that arrived at our border without a parent. And then not only did they arrive at our border without a parent, they were processed by our government, meaning the second that an unaccompanied child steps foot on USA soil, they become property of the United States government. That means our government took custody of these children and then processed them into this system and then vetted a sponsor, authorized the delivery of that child to a grown adult. And most of those grown adults were undocumented illegal immigrants who were presenting fake IDs and fake documents. Our government knew that. And then they authorized the delivery of that child to that grown adult. And now 350,000 of them cannot be found. That means that our government authorized the delivery of 350,000 children, ages 0 to 17, to an adult in America, and they tried to contact that adult and that child in America, and now they cannot find them.
Most Americans, if they looked at this on paper, they would say the structure on paper, the way that the child is handled and sent around, they'd say, wow, this is abject criminal behavior. This must be a cartel. This must be a crime organization. This has to be some of the most evil and demonic people on earth. And then Americans now are coming to the realization that they funded all of it. Like good, hardworking, moral Americans were paying for the largest child smuggling ring that the world's ever seen. Is this? Do you agree with that contention?
Benny, let me be very clear. If President Trump had never lost the 2020 election, not one. Let me be very clear on this. Not one of those 350,000 children would be missing today. Trump's policies made it absolutely 100% impossible for any of those children just to vanish into the abyss. When Biden took office, he signed 93 executive orders on day one, obliterating every immigration policy that Donald Trump put into place, which created and turned America into literally the child trafficking capital of the world. They turned Guatemala into the child kidnapping capital of the world while turning America simultaneously into the child trafficking capital of the world.
Can you explain Save the Children and Jill Biden's role in that organization?
So in 2017, Jill Biden was elected as chair of the board of directors of Save the Children. Save the Children is one of these NGOs that supposedly is supposed to be providing aid and comfort to these children that need a home or they need to find refuge. That they're the ones that's going to coordinate a sponsor or an adult figure that where they can take the child that says, yeah, my parents abandoned me, or I've been raped, I've been assaulted, I've had a really bad life. Save the Children comes in, they act as that humanitarian aid foundation, they take the child in, and then they try to coordinate the delivery of that child to a so-called sponsor in America or a sponsor in some third world country that can actually take custody of that child and provide that child with a better life. And Jill Biden was appointed as chair of the board of directors in 2017. And on April 25th of 2024, Save the Children was raided for trafficking children out of Guatemala into America by the Attorney General of Guatemala. Not just Save the Children, but there was 5 NGOs total that were also raided simultaneously with Save the Children, but Save the Children being the kingpin. Save the Children in 1985 was working with Ghislaine Maxwell. In 2003 was working with the Clintons. In 2012 was working with the Obama Foundation. In 2017 was working with Harry and Meghan from the royal family. Pretty much every single person that was on the Epstein list, if we were to assume, we would get the Epstein list, and we would assume who was on it. Almost every single person that was on the Epstein list at some point did some type of promotion with Save the Children. Save the Children.
So they were raided by the Guatemalan government for child trafficking. So they would traffic the children to, and here's the article here, Guatemalan prosecutors raid offices of Save the Children charity The prosecutors say that this could be a complaint against migrant children's rights, child trafficking. What happened here? Did people go to prison? People go to jail?
They raided the foundation. The crazy part about that is, Benny, is they contacted Ken Paxton, and they wanted to do a collaboration with Ken Paxton because they wanted to not only raid the offices in Texas or in Guatemala, they wanted to simultaneously raid the offices in Texas. But because Ken Paxton was getting attacked by the Biden administration, they assumed that communication between Ken Paxton and their office fell on deaf ears. So that's why I've tried to be on the forefront of this and trying to kind of promote this and put this out there and saying, hey, like Ken Paxton, the Guatemalan Attorney General's office wants to work with you. They want to work with the Trump administration. They've already been in contact with Todd Bensman. They've been in contact with the Trump administration. And they're saying, hey, the Guatemalan Attorney General's office right now is willing to do whatever is necessary to work with the Trump administration to completely eradicate child trafficking, and not just eradicate child trafficking, to put an end to this weaponized mass migration. And they're willing to do whatever it takes. And so they raided the foundation, Save the Children. And since raiding that foundation, right, they raided it on April 25th of 2025 or 2024. And for the first time in American history, since we recorded the data, goes all the way back to 2012, the amount of children coming from Guatemala decreased by 23% year over year. To put that into context, over the last 4 years, Benny, 190,052 children have been kidnapped and trafficked out of Guatemala and arrived at our border without a parent. And they've been processed into this system that Alejandro Mayorkas and Xavier Arbazar have created. And then now we can't find 75% of those Guatemalan children. 190,000 children coming out of a country the size that has a population the size of 15 million. That is a mathematical anomaly, Benny. That's not possible. It's not feasibly possible. You know, we've heard stories about the Clintons, right? And we heard about Laura Silsby and the 40 children she tried to kidnap out of Haiti. Twice, Laura Silsby got busted taking 40 children out of Haiti. Whether you want to call that a conspiracy theory or not, I think we're past that at this point. But 40 children coming out of one country, she got busted twice doing it. 190,000 children have been trafficked out of Guatemala, and they've been processed. And our government, the United States government, has taken custody of these children. They've processed them into the system, and now we can't find about roughly 75% of those 190,000 children.
Oh, it's totally evil, Ryan. I don't really want to ask this question, so please be as PG as possible. But since you just name dropped Epstein and the Clintons and Ghislaine Maxwell and some of the most, some of the royal family who we know were clients of Jeffrey Epstein, and there's plenty of photographs to prove that. What is the purpose of separating a child from their native country, from their place of origin, from their family, from the language that they speak, from the place that gives them meaning and purpose, taking them out of every possible safe haven, right? To have like a father and a mother who protect you, right? And then delivering them over to the hands of some of the more evil individuals on earth. Like, what is the purpose of that? Is it as dark as I think it is?
Benny, yeah, we're going to keep it PG-13, man. It's really dark, my friend. In the time that we've had this conversation in the last 10 minutes, the evil and vile things that have happened to the children that our government has taken custody of and placed into one of these NGO facilities. I mean, the Department of Justice, the DOJ, has a lawsuit against Southwest Key Programs. That is one of the number one facilities that houses these children inside of America. And if me and you were just to have a conversation about the children that have been raped and assaulted by the staff members at these facilities that are funded by our tax dollars, it would take us 30 minutes for me to read the bullet points, Benny, of, 5-year-old girl was assaulted by 15-year-old staff member at Southwest Key Programs. Southwest Key Programs employee kidnaps child, and takes him to a hotel where he pays him to do sexual favors for multiple days. Southwest Key employee takes sexually assaulted 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old girl while on shift at one of these facilities. I mean, Benny, if I just read off the headlines, you would be sick. You would get deplatformed from YouTube just for me explaining to you what has happened to these children that are in the care of an NGO that is being funded by our tax dollars.
So shutting down USAID is because evil cannot happen without money. Somebody has to pay for it. It's expensive to do this. It's expensive to get through the Darien Gap. It's expensive. How does a child even find their way to the American border from Guatemala, which is 1,000 miles south of us? Like a 6-year-old doesn't do that, right? It can't, okay? I have little children. They can't. It's not possible. It's not possible. An adult has to do it for them, and that adult has to be paid. What's the connection with USAID and the payment structure there?
Benny, in order to, like I said, I was trying to drill in on the 40 children before. In order to move 190,000 children out of a country, that country would have to be compromised on every single level. You'd have to compromise the National Guard. You'd have to compromise local officials. You'd have to compromise every single level because you would have to be running a child trafficking operation like it was a full-scale military operation. And you would have to control every port, every border, every local official, all the way down in order to move that many children. Like Laura Silsby got caught trafficking 40 children. We've somehow managed to take 190,000 children from Guatemala and migrate them through Mexico, through multiple borders, and they arrive at our border without a parent. And then our government takes custody of these children. It is so demonic what is being done to these children, Benny, that the history books will write volumes for decades and generations. And again, I want to stress this, Benny. None of this would have happened if Trump's policies would have remained in place. When Biden came in, he signed 93 executive orders on day one, obliterating every one of Donald Trump's immigration policies. If those immigration policies would have been in place, if they would have just left the DNA testing, Benny, none of this would have happened. Not one of these children, 350,000 children, our government has taken custody of. They vetted the sponsor. That means they took your address, they take your name, they take your documentation via WhatsApp, they audit it. They inspect it, and then they authorize the delivery of that child to, say, you, Benny. And now they contact you. You don't answer the phone. They can't find that child. And now that child's just missing. 350,000 children our government is taking custody of, authorized the delivery to, and now they cannot locate that child or that adult.
We've often said, and many people argue with us because he remained relatively low profile. There were plenty of clowns in the Biden administration. Alejandro Mayorkas is somebody who we often said is probably the most demonic, sickest, darkest member of this administration. I know that's quite a list, and to find yourself atop it is a pretty sick accomplishment. But this guy always gave me the creeps every time I watched him testify before Congress. Every move he made seemed to encourage this trafficking of human beings and children at scale, and he did it willingly and wantonly. What culpability does he have? Should he be concerned potentially about a federal criminal investigation? The Trump administration seems pretty serious about this. Tom Homan regularly on the show, Ken Paxton regularly on the show, saying these are not the things they're going to take lying down. They're going to actually prosecute these people. And I think they mean business.
Benny, anytime that Alejandro Mayorkas is in a room, he is the smartest individual in that room, right? Every single immigration policy, Jello brain Joe Biden could not orchestrate any of this. Let me be very clear on that. Alejandro Mayorkas is the smartest person in the room every single time he's in the room. He's the youngest AUSA ever in American history. He was handpicked by Obama. This guy, his history goes all the way back to the 90s. I mean, this man is an absolute genius. Every single immigration policy that obliterated the Trump immigration policy, catch and release, CBP-1, it was all Mayorkas, Benny. He crafted all of this. He sat there and he thought his pompous little smug butt, right? Every time that he was in front of Congress, that those smug remarks, those condescending, because he's the smartest man in the room. And he knew at that point he was untouchable. But now that the Trump administration has taken office and people like Tom Homan are at the helm of this, I pray, Benny, if there's one person in my documentary that I quote and I say, if there's one person that's going to be charged for treason and the crimes that they committed, it is Alejandro Mayorkas, because he is at the helm of all of this, Benny.
Wow. Just a quick follow-up as we put up, again, your documentary. I want everybody to go and see it and watch it and obviously follow Ryan. I have to ask a follow-up question based on your answer a minute ago about Jill Biden and Save the Children. Do you have any evidence other than the position and title that Jill Biden was knowingly servicing and allowing for the child trafficking from Guatemala into America, that she willingly and wantonly did that? Because that's a really, Brian, that's a really big bombshell. I mean, for a first lady, it's one thing to have Mayorkas. For a first lady to be a part of an operation like that is demonic.
Benny, it's beyond demonic, and I don't want to make any claims that I can't back up, but I was just given a thumb drive on my last trip to Guatemala 2 days ago. I was so afraid that I didn't even fly back into the United States with this thumb drive. I flew back into El Salvador so I could release this information. And on this thumb drive, I have offshore bank accounts of Todd Robinson. Todd Robinson is the previous ambassador to Guatemala. When you talk about this child trafficking operation that's being ran out of Guatemala, it didn't happen overnight. This is a 5, 10, 20-year operation that was created with U.S. aid, and specific people were put into key positions. And Jill Biden being elected as the chair of the board of directors of Save the Children, and then Save the Children being raided for child trafficking. I mean, obviously, you start to sound like a conspiracy theorist when you start to go down these rabbit holes. So I don't want to make any claims that I can't back up. But as of right now, in my possession, I have offshore bank accounts from Todd Robinson. He was the ambassador of Guatemala, appointed by Barack Obama. And I believe that Trump at one point removed him from power in 2017. So there's a lot more. I also have Thelma Aldana. She's one of the highest profile. She was one of the previous attorney general of Guatemala. I have her offshore bank accounts. She was in the White House about 4 weeks ago campaigning with Kamala Harris. So we have a fugitive that has a warrant out for arrest in Guatemala, and she's in our White House 4 weeks ago prior to the Trump administration doing photo ops, campaigning for Kamala Harris. And I have her offshore bank accounts right now, Benny. So what is that going to lead to? How is that connected to U.S. aid? How is that connected to Save the Children? I hope people like Pam Bondi, I hope people like Kash Patel are willing to actually dive into this rabbit hole and really, really uncover what our government's been doing for the last 20, 30 years in these third world countries, because it's bad. It's really bad.
I live in Florida, and we actually live in the city where Pam is from, and we know her closely, and our show has a great relationship with her. And I got to tell you, there's not a single individual that fought harder for the death penalty for pederasts in this state than Pam Bondi. And this is something very personal to her, and it's something that has obviously affected the state. We're not too far from Disney. There's a lot of monsters, around that area. And this is something, as the attorney general of this state, she made a top line priority, and she got it done. And so I hope that she takes that nationally. I believe, I know this personally, that she plans on it. Final question for you, Ryan, because I feel like we could talk all day on this. There are so many dark rabbit holes, but on a top level, so like zooming out, Elon Musk's work exposing USAID. I mean, we have the footage here of USAID getting their letters chiseled off the side of the building. It seems like the heart of darkness inside of the federal government. Do you believe that the shutting down of USAID and the ruthlessness at which the administration has gone through and atomized, really, this organization, do you believe that that is the single greatest step in ending child trafficking that we've seen in a long time? And what's the connection? Do you think that this is possibly the best move Trump's ever made to end child trafficking?
Hands down, Benny. What Trump is doing here, not just auditing U.S. aid, but auditing every single NGO that has received a penny from U.S. aid, because U.S. aid is the linchpin that connects the State Department, the CIA, and the Department of Defense. U.S. aid has a budget that is twice that of the CIA and the State Department. U.S. aid coordinates everything. U.S. aid is the one that goes into a third world country and they fund NGO that funds NGO that funds NGO that commits the crime, or they fund NGO that funds NGO that organizes the protest, right? And in over a 5-10 year period that USAID operates in these countries, they've taken over your media. We see that they're funding Reuters, they're funding the New York Times, they're funding like 80 different media outlets all across the world. Those are just the ones over in Europe that you guys have heard about. But what America hasn't heard about is the one that USAID funds an NGO that funds an NGO that funds a media outlet, right? So indirectly, we don't realize that USAID might not be directly paying the bill, but USAID is funding the NGO that funds the NGO that funds the NGO that is funding the media outlet. And they go into these third world countries and they take over the media outlets. And then once they have control of the media, they use that media to amplify the politicians that'll do the bidding of the State Department and the CIA. And they use that same media to demonize any politicians that won't do their bidding. And over a 5, 10, 20-year period, Benny, they've taken over the media. They've taken over your Supreme Court. They've taken over your Electoral College. They've taken over a majority of your Congress. And just like what happened here in Guatemala in 2023, they took over the president and the vice president. Our government, USAID, and the State Department were directly involved in installing President Arvelo in Guatemala right now. And over the next maybe 6 months, Benny, you're going to hear a lot about how our government played a direct role in rigging the 2023 election in Guatemala.
It's all part of your documentary, and it's something that you're doing that is actually the counterbalance to all of this, which is true journalism. You're uncovering this. Operation Amber Alert, ladies and gentlemen, is available. I believe you posted it to your X. We have it right here. Ryan Mata is the account. Please go and follow Ryan. Support his work. Make sure that those journalists and documentary filmmakers that are creating media that can act as almost an exorcism to this sickness that we've seen throughout the world, 707 different media outlets, Ryan. 6,400 reporters funded directly by USAID. What the hell was going on in that organ? We are now starting to see, and it gets darker and more evil every time we peel a layer back. Make sure that you support Ryan and his work. I can't think of more important work in the country right now. It's an honor to have you, Ryan, and please come back with any new information that you find. You have a friend and allies on this program.
Benny, God bless you, man. Really. Thank you so much for bringing me on, man. I appreciate it big time.
God bless you, Ryan. Well, we're going to need a palate cleanser. You do think we're adults. We can handle it. But I can't handle... I've done a lot of bad news on this program. As a father, I can't handle my dollars that are taken from me at gunpoint going in funding child trafficking. I can't handle it. I can't stomach that. I want the death penalty for the people that engaged in this behavior. It's not enough to have Ghislaine Maxwell living in a prison not too far from here. She's in Florida, in like this low security resort. These people, they're monsters. Bill Clinton's a free man. He's a free man. In my lifetime, we're going to set, like Flint, I mean, there's a lot of people who wouldn't even do a segment like that because the topics are too dark. In my lifetime, we're going to set ourselves, nose to the grindstone, hands like Flint, against child trafficking. We've had Jim Caviezel on the program, right, to talk about it, and multiple others, and we're going to go after this. We can use our power, our cultural power, for good, because we have won the culture war. The way to keep up with our news and make sure that you are connected to us so that you can join us in this war, ladies and gentlemen, is being connected to us via Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is how we get our news out to you. It's who joins us on the road. We'll be heading to D.C. next week to be doing a lot of let's just call it adventures. Okay, giving a speech at CPAC and doing a bunch of other things. It's going to be fun. Patriot Mobile is with us every step of the way. They're the only conservative Christian wireless provider. They support the First and Second Amendment. Supporting the First Amendment, kind of like obvious, right? But in a world where everybody is trying to not be woke anymore, they stood against that crap from the beginning. So please consider switching today They're available on all 3 major networks, so you won't have a single blip in coverage. Go right now to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT for a free month of service with the promo code Benny. Switch to Patriot Mobile today. Defend freedom with every single call and text that you make. patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. Ooh, I've never wanted to do my verse of the day more. It's kind of stuff is like it's bad. It's heavy on the soul. I hate hearing that. I didn't even want to ask Ryan. I had 50 questions I want to ask him. I almost didn't want to know the answer. I want to have Ryan back and make sure that we can dive more into this. Do something long form. Man, we are truly led by demons, aren't we? Let's do an exorcism here. Our verse of the day from Psalms. Let all that I am praise the Lord. May I never forget the good things that he does for me. Let all that I am praise the Lord. Do not forget these good things. Live with a spirit of thanksgiving. We do live in an unbelievable time. The fact that we can even have these conversations. You know what's darker than having this conversation about child smuggling and trafficking with Ryan is not having any power to fix it. Isn't it wonderful that we can actually expose these things and then know that there is, now we wield a hammer and now we wield the sword? That is great. And if you're looking for the silver lining, there it is. We can do something about it. Action, offense, fight, battles, win, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget that this good thing came from our Lord. If you wish to win with us, join the Benny Brigade. Go to BennyJohnson.com. You can sign up right now. The cost of, they don't have $5 footlongs anymore. The cost of let's just say a Chick-fil-A waffle fry. You get a large Chick-fil-A waffle fry, it's $5. Okay, there you go. It's just a way to help us and keep our show going. You can also become members on our social media platforms, and we thank you. If you're just watching, punch subscribe. I know what it's like to be dead broke, and so we're just thankful for you. You won't find a single show that loves our audience more. We will be here for you. We have many fun adventures to go on together. This will be your front seat to the golden era of America, and we are going to keep that promise. Let me tell you, we have some fun things cooking. March with us on to victory. You can't defeat an army of happy warriors. Join us. It's Benny. See ya.
The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, until one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
It's the wild, wild west. Americana, forming a new nation. Without all the bullshit, don't you wanna? Don't you wanna? Don't you wanna? Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to the debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.